Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Art with Miss Myra. I'm so glad that you have joined me today, and today is Fun with Fiber Friday. And so I have decided, because I am a fiber artist, that I would start making Fridays, every Friday that I come and join you. I'm going to be showcasing a different fiber related art project that I would I'm going to be sharing with you and stuff for you guys to do. So we're going to go ahead and get started. The things that we're going to need today to do our little project, we're going to be doing a circle weaving project. Okay, so this is a very simple weaving project that everyone can do. I've taught kids as young as 4 years old to do this, and I've had some 90-year-old women who have done this. So it is something that really everyone can do, and I hope that you guys join along with me today and do this project. So the items that we're going to be needing for today's project are: you're going to need cardboard, you're going to need scissors, you're going to need yarn, and if you don't have t-shirt yarn, you can use the t-shirt yarn, or if you don't have regular yarn, you can use the t-shirt yarn that I taught you guys how to make earlier. And t-shirt yarn is made by cutting 1-inch strips of t-shirt material, any kind of t-shirt material, and then stretching it and making it into yarn. So if you don't have regular yarn, you can make t-shirt yarn and use the t-shirt yarn for this project and get kind of the same effect, just on a bigger scale. So another thing that comes in handy when doing this project is we need tape. And then optional thing is if you have any beads at home, you can do little decorating and stuff with our little beads and stuff in this weaving project. So we are going to get started. And I'm going to move the camera down a little bit so you guys can see what I'm doing. So the first thing that I'm going to do is with any weaving project, there are two parts to weaving. There is something called the warp and the weft. The warp yarns are the yarns that we weave into. Okay, and the weft is what we are weaving with. Okay, so the warp is something that is put on our looms that we're going in and out of to do our weaving project, and the weft is actually the weaving, what we are weaving in and out with. Okay, so those are the two elements. So what I've done here today is I have just taken a cereal bowl and laid it down on a piece of cardboard and drawn around it and cut out, and then I put a hole here in the middle and stuff. I just took an ink pen and I poked a little hole here in the middle, and that is how I am going to do my weaving loom. Now, if you kids, because this is a weaving project that we're not going to take off this loom, so if you kids at home want to decorate your little cardboard loom, you can sure do that. You can do that with markers or crayons or gel pens or whatever you have and stuff. So you can do that and actually decorate your loom, because like I said, this is a weaving project that is going to be stationary. It's going to stay on our loom. We're not taking this off. Okay, so the first thing that I need to do is I need to put the warp strings on. And so what I'm going to do, and I'm going to tell you a little hint of how to figure out how much yarn you're going to need to go around and make all of the warp strings on this yarn or on this loom. Okay, you're just going to hold your yarn down, and then you're going to wrap. And remember, when we're doing the warp, we want an uneven number. It doesn't matter if we want to put this little loom has 11. We always want to have an uneven number of warp strings when we are dressing our loom. And that's what it's called. We are going to dress our loom with our warp strings, and we want an uneven number. Okay, So this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to measure out so I know how much of this string to cut. I'm going to wrap once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm going to wrap 6 times because I want either 9 or 11 times, but I've wrapped around, see, so now I have my length and I know that I can cut that off safely and I'll have enough, okay? So the first thing that I want to do is I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to feed that down the middle of my little hole and have it come around to the back, and then I'm going to take just a little piece of tape and I'm going to tape that down, okay? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tape it down on the back. I've threaded it through the top, and then I'm going to start dressing my loom by wrapping one wrap across and then coming back up in the middle again. And then we're going to wrap another wrap and then come back in the middle. And we're going to go all the way around, and we're going to, remember, we're going to make an uneven number of wraps for our warp, because we need that uneven number to weave in and out of. And with a loom this size, I like to use either 9 or 11. And this is just, like I said, a cereal bowl that I've laid down on a piece of cardboard and cut out the piece of cardboard and then put the little hole in the middle with an ink pen. You know, pushed it all the way through. So I got involved. I have been doing fiber related things actually since the time I was about a 4th grader. And I was just intrigued. There was a woman that came to our school. I went to school in Elgin, North Dakota, which is a really tiny little school. And we had a lady who came with a spinning wheel and a loom, and she did a demonstration on spinning and weaving. And I want to count my loom's warps here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I need one more. Anyway, and so I was so excited and stuff by this. And at the end of her presentation, our principal of our school, Mr. Kesey, asked for a volunteer to of someone to go and help her take her stuff out to her vehicle. And so I raised my hand and he called on me, and I went out and helped her take her stuff to her vehicle, and I had a really nice conversation with her. I don't remember the woman's name, but she was a fiber artist that came and visited our school, and that's how I actually got involved with fiber things. And now I am a spinner and a weaver and a knitter, and I do felting, and I do all things related to fiber. That's why I'm so excited to share a little fiber project with you guys today. Okay, so once I have my uneven number of wraps here for my wrap or warp for my loom, I'm going to just tape it on the back, and then I am ready to go. This loom is dressed, okay? That is what we call it. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide what color I want to put on my loom first for my weaving project, okay? And so what I'm going to do, and this is what I teach all of the kids in my class. If you come to my class, this is Myra's method of measuring, okay? And Myra's method of measuring is like this. You take and you hold the end of the yarn that you're measuring, and you hold out your arm as far as you can go one time, and then you cut off. That is Myra's method of measuring, because I don't use a measuring thing in any of my classes. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to take these little pieces that we've cut here, and we're going to weave with this. Okay, so how I want to start this is like this. I want to pick the top of my loom. I'm going to pick this one right here, and I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to go underneath it, and then I'm going to tie a really tiny little knot, just a basic knot. We all know how to tie knots. If you've learned how to tie your shoes, you know how to tie a knot. If you don't know how to tie a knot, ask somebody around to show you how to tie a knot. Okay, and I'm going to double knot that. And then I'm going to take my scissor and I'm going to just cut off the little tail that I just tied with my knot. And I'm going to kind of tuck that in. I'm going to maneuver that down so I'm not going to see that, and I won't see that when I start weaving, okay? And so now I'm considering this first one, this little knot that I just tied, I'm considering that to be an over, okay? And so the next one that we're going to do, if we've done the first one is over, the next one is going to be under. And that is the whole premise of weaving. And if you guys can do, remember, over, under, you can do weaving, okay? So this is an over, this is an under. So now I have an over, then I have an under, then I have an over, then an under, over, under, over, under. And now I am back to my, I actually just passed it. After, when you get to the first one, you will notice, and when you start going on your second row, I had an over here first. Remember, with our knot, we had an over. So guess what? On our second row, we have the opposite. And that's how weaving works. Okay, so what I mean by that is when you do one row and like here, this was an over. Now on my second row, when I did my next pass on my second row, because this was an over, now this is going to be an under. So we do the opposite with each row. We do the opposite of what we did the row before, okay? So that's a really cool thing about weaving is you just, and if you ever get messed up with it, you can just look at your project and you can think, okay, well, you know what? I had an under here the last time, so now I have to go over this time. And so that's a way of checking it, checking it out and making sure that you're doing it correctly. And if you're not, guys, it's not a big deal. Just take it out. Even if you can attest to this, the worst thing you can have happen and stuff when you're knitting is realize at some point that you've had a dropped stitch. And that's a mistake in knitting. That's very common, okay? But I've had to rip out 13 rows of a very intricate design of knitting, and I just about wanted to cry. But there's nothing wrong with having to do that. It's better to you either learn to live with the mistake or you want to correct it. And I'm very much so a corrector. I have to have it done the right way. So okay. So now we've gone around a couple of times with a couple of rows, over, under, over, under. So now I want to show you guys a really cool little thing that you can add into your weaving, and that is little beads. You can add little beads, okay? So here I'm gonna need a new piece. So I'm gonna do my, Myra's method of measuring. I'm going to pull it, from my nose to the end of my arm, and that's where I'm going to cut off. And then I'm going to show you how to join two pieces of yarn, okay? And when we join two pieces of yarn, it can be done very easily. And you can tie it however you like, but this is how I recommend you tie it, okay? You take your two pieces of yarn, just like this, and you hold them in between your thumb and your index finger, and you wrap it around your index finger, and then just pull it through and make a little knot. Oops. And then in my case, you start over again because you dropped it. But that's how we're going to join the next piece of yarn, the next color of yarn, okay? So we can really make this all different kinds of colors, okay? And I'm just going to tighten this up, and then I'm going to cut the tails. I want to make sure not cut the tails too close because I don't want to, you know, interfere with this knot. But then when we start weaving again, and I'll show you, it just magically disappears, okay? So here I am on a over, so I'm going to go over, under, over, under. So now I've come to, you can see this knot. So this is what we do and stuff to hide the knots. I just take my fingernail, or you can take a pencil or a pen, and you just are gonna tuck that knot in there. You're not even gonna see it. You're not even gonna know it's there, okay? So I'm gonna do a couple of more, you know, stitches here, and then I'm going to show you guys how to add a bead, okay? So we're gonna go over, under, over, under. Okay, so now, well, let's add a bead here. Okay, so what color should I add here? I'm gonna add a pink one. Okay, oh, I grabbed a purple one. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to, at the end of my yarn here, I'm just gonna feed that through my hole of my bead, and then I'm going to put it all the way down. And I always, when I add beads with this project, especially if I'm adding a wider bead like a pony bead, I always want to make sure that it falls between the warp strings, okay? I don't want to have it sitting on top of that warp string. I want to have it between the warp strings, okay? So now I've added my bead. Now I'm on an over. Then I'll go under. And you always want to make sure and pull all the way through. When we're doing this weaving project, you want to make sure and pull all the way through. Okay. And just like that. And that's how we continue. And we want to fill up this whole thing, okay? And one of the cutest ideas that I ever saw made with some of these, I had a little girl take my class a number of years ago, and you know what she did is she took fishing line. Her dad let her use some fishing line, and she made like a little mobile out of, she had about, I don't know, about 10 or 12 of these and stuff, and she made a little mobile and she hung it in her room. And that's what I'm saying, kids. If you want to decorate these little cardboard pieces that we've used for our looms, if you want to decorate them, you can decorate them. But this is just meant to be a fun little project, something to keep hands busy, it's just meant to be a fun little project. But it's not something that we're going to take off the loom. It's something that's going to stay stationary on the loom. But like I said, you can add these little beads in here for a little bit of decoration. You could even add, you know, buttons if you have the buttons that have the backs to them, you know, if they're not the threaded buttons, but they have the backs to them. You can do that. You can really do anything with this. But I hope that you guys have a lot of fun with this. As always, if you guys have any questions at all on this project or any of the other projects that we've done this week, please feel free to contact me. My name is Myra Klein on Facebook, and I welcome any questions. And again, I love pictures, guys. If you have some finished projects that you've done along with me this week, I would love to see the finished pictures of the products that you guys have made. Thank you so much for all your support. I love all, I can't even say this enough. I've gotten so many encouraging messages from people, and from people all over the place. I have a group of people from Oklahoma that are following me that I don't know where they found me, but it's just a really cool thing. Thank you so much for all of your support. I will be back next week on Monday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time again, and I will be posting the supply and project lists tomorrow about 3 o'clock Mountain Time, so then you have time to gather the supplies for next week. But next week we've got lots of exciting things coming up, and I hope that you all join me for Art with Miss Myra. Thank you so much, and have a great day, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you tomorrow with the project and supply list. Bye-bye.